much. We love your frozen.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports with Mono and Mono. It is October 4th, 2025. Jim, can you hear us?
Okay, fine.
All right, here we go. We're
All
good to
right.
go.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Like I said, I first want to apologize. We had some technical issues last week, but I think we got those all resolved today. We're on a new platform and so forth. Nice job by my producer, Elijah Weintraub. And it's October 4th, 2025. Beautiful weather in the Northeast. And again, I'd like to thank all of our loyal listeners and support. And we're going to jump right into it. So, of course, our monologue is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And the Eli monologue this week. And I'm going to focus on baseball because baseball, there was some great games this weekend. And I think we got four great matchups. You're going to see some of the best players in the game right down the list with Detroit and Seattle. We're going to see Skubal pitch, and Skubal is, the guy's lights out. Struck out him, I think, 14 the other night. And we're going to get to see Shohei Ohtani and Kyle Schwarber, and how about the game that this Cam Schlittler pitched for the Yankees in the elimination game the other night? That was simply great. A
It was
pitching
awesome.
performance that no one's ever had in the playoffs before. So very excited about the playoffs. And yeah, there was one topic though, and one of our loyal listeners, Frankie, had brought this up. So last night was Friday night, a very slow night in sports, right? There's really not a lot, and yet there were no Major League Baseball games. So I don't know how they're going to rectify this, but you want opportunities. It's hard for people during the week to watch a 1 o'clock game, but that's the wild card, and the wild card's all done now. But I think we got some really, really great matchups, and let's talk about them. Let's go right into the list, Eli, and talk about
Absolutely.
the Yankees in Toronto. This is and now this is a 3 out of 5 series, and then the league
Yeah.
championship is best of 7, and of course
That's
the
the
World
seven as
Series.
usual. Yep.
Yep. So we got great matchups coming,
We do.
and you know
And I
Seattle.
agree
I
with
mean, a lot of people. Go ahead, Eli.
And I agree with the whole wild card stuff, and you were talking about that just moments ago. The times for the wild card really make no sense. So you have a 1 o'clock game to start it off when people are usually working, and it's not like it's a Saturday or Sunday. It is the middle of a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday. You can't really be doing that. I think if you're the MLB, I think you're just taking away from the experience of the game. I know the matchup wasn't the best for it to be a prime time spot that everybody should be watching. But still, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then a 3 o'clock on ABC. Really? I mean, I think just the timing is not perfect. I think the 6
Mm-hmm.
o'clock and the 8 o'clock are fine. And remember, you still have that Friday to use as a window of games that you could put it on. And I think you could easily duplicate and do 2 night games at the same time. I think that's much better than having a 1 o'clock start where not many people can really watch the game unless their job has a TV or if you're home. And I think that's just a disappointment by and the MLB. I think they got to do better in that. And as you mentioned, though, we have a lot of great games heading into this weekend. But again, another constant issue. The first game today starts at 2 o'clock. You're competing with college football, and some of the best games on the market happen between 12 and 3:30. And that is going to be, an issue, especially with the Yankees for our area. They're at 4 o'clock today. So that's going to
Yep.
be an issue trying to go back and forth from watching the baseball to going to the football in college. So it really is just the timing is not the best in the MLB right now. And I think they got to get a lot better with that.
And a lot of that has to do with the expanded playoffs and the 3 wild cards and so forth. But when we look at the matchups, right? Toronto Yankees, Detroit, Seattle. A lot of people don't know a lot about Seattle outside of course, Cam Raleigh.
Correct.
But that's a great matchup. That would be an awesome matchup to see Judge versus Cam Raleigh in the home, kind of almost a home run derby like scenario. That would be great. And of course, the Dodgers Phillies. That looks like a great series. You got
Oh,
Schwarber, who had a great
1,000%.
year. Otani, of course, and I think he's actually going to pitch game one, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's going to pitch.
Night that he will be pitching, which that is
Yeah.
pretty insane though, and especially with this Phillies team, that is going to be one heck of a game to watch. And I'm sad that I'm not sad because it's a good game. It's on TBS that game, so it's not a Fox game. But if you have
Hmm.
TBS on your channel, that'll be a great game to watch.
Yep. And another one, listen, the Cubs Brewers series, there's a little bit of intrigue there, right? Because Craig Counsell now managing the Cubs. He left the Brewers, and the Brewers had, one of the best records in baseball. So this is lining up to be a really awesome
Oh,
Major
100%.
League Baseball postseason. It's just great. I'm very excited about it. Very excited.
Absolutely. And we cannot go without moving forward with the playoffs without talking about the New York Mets, because the New York Mets were eliminated last week. They just missed the playoffs and they made a lot of coaching changes. The list is huge, so we won't go through every single name because it is a big list of firings that they made throughout their coaching staff. But a big name I want to bring up with the New York Mets is Pete Alonso. He has said he is going to be opting out of his contract and will become a free agent. The question is, do the Yankees sign him? That is the big question. How Juan Soto went to the Mets. Did the Yankees sign him? Does he go to another team? Is his career in jeopardy? And now that he's a free agent, what are we seeing with Pete Alonso right now?
Well, you can't argue with the year he had. He had a really
100%.
outstanding year for the Mets. So I'm not really sure why the Mets are trying to kind of wash their hands with him. He's done nothing but been a great player for the
Beautiful, an
Mets,
awesome player.
and he's certainly a fan favorite and so forth. But again, is he going to command the money that he was looking for last year, which he didn't get? So that's also intriguing as well. So we can't be more excited about Major League Baseball. And you know what? You're right. It's a tough time of year. It's something for sports fans we love because you got college football, you got
100%. You got
Major League
everything this week.
Baseball, NFL, and guess what gets lost in all that? And the NHL season is about to start next
I
week,
know it does,
but they'll have low ratings while all of these other sports are dominating the headlines. But
but
it should be an outstanding season. And I got a random point that I wanted to bring up regarding the NHL, and we'll bring
yes.
that up in a little bit.
But as I think you brought up a great point, I think you have too much sports going on in a little bit of time. You have the WNBA finals going on. You have baseball in its peak right now in the playoffs. You have the NFL, which again, the good news about the NFL is there's no games Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday or Saturday. So that's one break you can get, and you will. But you have college football that plays pretty much from
Yeah.
Friday on, if you think about it, because there's Thursday games too. But Friday through Sunday, that's when it really takes place, college football. There's so much sports happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the NHL too. It's just the timing could have not been better, and this is the time if you're a sports fan to enjoy all these games.
Yep. So we'll follow obviously the Major League Baseball playoffs, but I'm
Yeah,
excited to see Schwarber and Otani
the
and
New York
Raleigh and
Yankees too.
Judge and the Cam Schlitlers and all these other guys. When I looked at the Yankee series, one thing that was a little bit odd is that the wild card team with the best record gets all three games at home.
I know.
And I thought it was a little, but you can't logistically, you got to worry about travel and so forth. So it's very hard to get that, try to work this for the fan, right? Because who could stay up
Absolutely.
at, the Dodger game are till 9:30 West Coast team, what we can do, but
Right.
I'm excited for the playoffs. Absolutely. All right,
Oh, me
Eli,
too.
we have a wrap up we have to talk about because last weekend was the Ryder Cup and it was exciting.
Yes, we do. We got
And
to talk about that.
after the first 2 days, it was just almost a complete domination by the European team, who, by the way, had just a great lineup. And then came the singles matches, and for a while we're watching this, and all of a sudden it's starting to get closer and closer and closer. But I think uh, uh,
The
Keegan
European team or the
Bradley
American?
took a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, he took a lot more heat than I thought he deserved. It's these guys that have to come up big. When, like, John Rahm for the Europeans loses on Sunday, you have to capitalize on that when they're big guns. And there was a lot of controversy, with Victor Hovland going out and those kind of things. But it was Bethpage, it was New York, and of course there was a lot of post Ryder Cup discussion about the fan behavior and so forth, and a lot of people, and they may have crossed the line. We nobody doesn't want who you're rooting for and the clapping, but when it gets to throwing bottles and things at McIlroy and his wife and things like that, that
That's
crosses
when
the
it's out of
line.
hand.
But yeah, but overall, I don't hang this on Keegan Bradley. I think he put together a really good lineup, and some guys
100%.
came through. But these are very experienced European players that had on that lineup, and they retained the cup. So Ryder Cup next in 2 years is going to be in Ireland, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So that'll also, when we talk about television and broadcasting games, when it's in Ireland, it's going to be early starts and so forth. But
Right. That's
I
the
think
thing.
overall, Eli, I'm more of a golf fan, I think, than you are. But there are a
100%. You
lot
could
of
agree
other
with that one.
golf
Yep.
fans. Yep. But it
Yeah.
was just exciting to see, and we almost had a comeback. But I think overall,
It was a
it
good
was a
tournament.
beautiful venue for it. It was great. I loved it.
Absolutely. We do have a couple comments coming in. We have Tom Pugh checking in. He says, "Good morning." Good morning to you, Tom. And Jr. He says, "Are you surprised that the Jaguars are off to a 3-1 start?" The answer to your question, Jr. I don't think I'm surprised at all. I think because the Jaguars played, you could say, the weaker teams in the NFL. They had the Texans, they had the Panthers, which they won, and they also had the
Yeah.
49ers, and they're not the strongest competition. And the Bengals, Joe Burrow is healthy in that game, so that is something you got to take note of. As well.
Yeah, and am I surprised? Yes, I am surprised because I don't I've said time and time again on the show, as far as top flight quarterbacks, I don't consider Trevor Lawrence to be that one, although he's making the second most money from a quarterback. But listen, sometimes it takes guys a couple of years to mature into that level of top flight quarterbacks and so forth. But hey, 3-1, you got to be happy about that. And
Maybe they can go
but they got to,
4-1.
but they got to have to beat Patrick Mahomes and so forth. So
We'll talk
but
about that
yeah,
in a little.
I know JR is a big Jacksonville fan.
So why don't we just go ahead and let's just talk about the NFL because we got everybody here. We want everybody to talk about the NFL. We all do. And we cannot start the NFL segment without talking about the New York Giants because I think that is the biggest storyline right now. Malik Neighbors goes down with an ACL injury. Can you blame the turf on that one? However, on the flip side of things, you have Jackson Dart that got the win for the New York Giants. The question is, can he do it again this weekend versus the New Orleans Saints minus Malik Neighbors?
Well, that was certainly a big loss. And I watching the replay, no, I don't consider that a turf induced. He was up in the air and he just came down in an awkward way. And yeah, that's going to be a big loss for Jackson Dart and the New York Giants. But their defense is playing very well.
Yeah.
And it's a long season, but that's a big blow for the Giants. But when you look at the Giants and this Cam Scatterboo, who's taking this this bulldog type mentality running back, I love it. I love it.
It is. Well, let's what
Eli,
else? Let's talk about the games from last week.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's talk about the Jets. And, um, it's the new Aaron Glenn era and so forth. And, I hate to use that old cliche, but it does seem like the old, you know, the
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 same
old
old
Jets. I
Jets.
mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, uh,
But
I
this
I
is
don't know what to
embarrassing,
make of
though.
it,
I think that's the bottom line. I think I'm going to go with that word. And I'm going to go,
especially when they're playing a very poor Miami Dolphins team, and to lose that game, turning the
yeah,
ball over. I hate to use it, but same old Jets. Can't get
it
away
really
from
is.
it.
It is the same old Jets, and nothing will change. They have another matchup this weekend versus the Dallas Cowboys, which the Dallas team isn't, the best, but they're likely going to lose that game. That's the crazy part. It just really, this is the
Yeah.
same old Jets. There's a lot of issues that need to be fixed. Maybe their goal right now is to get a draft pick, but the draft isn't looking the best this year in terms of the quarterback market and everything else. But this is a disappointment, and right now they're looking at a lot of losses to start the season because they don't have a good, easy break in the early future, as we could see.
I know. And we see some things, and I kind of wanted to say, when we look at the Cleveland Browns and their decision to start 40 some odd old year old Joe Flacco. I mean, we've seen this before. He comes out, plays a great game, and then he goes back to being a 40-year-old quarterback. So, you know, overall, Cleveland, not a great football team, but they decided to make the change at quarterback, just like the Giants did. Get rid of the old experienced guys that are on the downside of their career and go with these young guys that they chose highly in the draft. So Dylan Gabriel gets the start this week, and um, I think, like I said, outside, and I know this is driving you and I crazy, that actually Aaron Rodgers is looking pretty good with the Pittsburgh
Well,
Steelers right
I
now.
want to point out, though, before we can talk about Aaron Rodgers, what made that game such a great game was that Steelers defense. That Steelers defense was incredible to watch. I was watching that game closely last week, and it really was the defense, the standout in that game. It really was incredible.
Yep, it was. It was. Um, so yeah, I know you're chomping at the bit to get into last week's results, and Jim
All righty.
had a
I
lousy
think
week.
I think so too. And before we get to the chart, I want to get to some comments first. I know I missed a couple. Let's get to the comments first. Tom Pugh says, Travis Kelsey wants to talk to Jim about his pick for the Ravens last week.
Well, and you know what that's in reference to, Tom. And again, shame on me every time I do it, but I am no longer a believer
I
in
know.
the Baltimore
I know.
Ravens. But I told you, going against Patrick Mahomes breaks all of my
Oh, yeah.
philosophy,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
we keep.
And Eric
There's
says, good morning,
Eric,
by the way.
yep,
Happy
from our,
Saturday.
our Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You bet, Eric.
So let's
Thank
take a
you.
look at that chart. Everybody's been dying to see it. Everybody wants to know what's going on in the world of sports with Mono standings. And here we go. Here's the standings chart, and you even got some excitement going in the air. You got confetti to celebrate. It's awesome, and I appreciate the graphics. 9-5 is where I stand. Jim at 5-9. Jim last week 0-3 in his picks. I went
Guilty.
2-1. So Jim, you got to get a little better on this week. Hopefully, you can get there. Love the confetti, by the way. That's awesome touch. Um,
You couldn't wait to get there. I knew it. That's
I
funny.
can't wait.
That's
But maybe this week I will still keep the crown because we only picked 3 games. But can I build up
that's all
my
right.
lead? And can Jim go
That's all
backwards
right.
more? That's the question. We'll find out this week. Let's get to the picks.
All right. Why don't you start off with your picks? I think we had some
All right.
duplicate games here, but that's all right.
Well, we're going to start off with one of the best games of the afternoon, the 1 o'clock slate. We have the Broncos and the Eagles. It is a really good game. Bo Nix and the Broncos. We really hope that they go far and they have a run. But this Philadelphia Eagles team is too good. I cannot pick against this Philadelphia team. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles 28-24. Next game on the
Well,
list.
that's not actually a reach because if you look at this, I think in the Philadelphia Eagles have won like 21 straight games or
Yeah,
something,
they're
or
still perfect to remain in
something
the
to that
season. Yeah.
effect.
By the
Yeah.
way, the comment says, Tom says, wow, Eli's on a roll. Thank you, Tom. And Taylor Swift is very happy too. She's also got the album. That's why she's happy. My
Yeah,
next pick,
she's gonna make another $1 billion. Good for her.
well, of course, for her. Buccaneers, Seattle, 4:05 on CBS. It is a really good game. Might be one of the best games of the 4 o'clock window. We'll
Yep.
have to wait and see. But there are some injuries on both sides of the football for both teams. Seattle has a lot of defensive injuries that we have to take note of, and Tampa Bay also has some offensive injuries that we have to take note of as well. It is a really tough game to pick, but unfortunately, Seattle's defense with these injuries, I don't think that they're going to perform the way they should. And I think the offense is going to be wishy washy. 1 week good, 1 week bad. This is going to be one of their bad weeks. And for those reasons, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-24 for my pick.
Oh,
So I'm not picking the Seattle Seahawks. I know.
okay.
The last pick. Got to go with what you got to make the right picks. That's all. Chiefs Jaguars, the last game I'm picking. Well, the Chiefs got lucky last week because the Ravens just can't win big games. And I think that's the bottom line. And they also beat the New York Giants.
Hmm.
Congratulations. But this Jacksonville team, there's something telling me pick Jacksonville, pick Jacksonville, pick Jacksonville. So for my upset pick of the week, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars 21-18 to take down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
Okay. Wow. I'm a little surprised that at a couple of your picks, you went against your Seahawks and you went against Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes. But I
I
think,
did.
yeah, I know.
Hey, but you know what? If it gets me the win, gets
That's
me the win.
fine. All right, let me give you my
Oh,
picks.
by the way, before we get to your picks, Andrew says, "Good morning, guys, and come on, Jim. Need a few good
I
picks here."
know, I know, I know, Andrew.
All right,
I know. All right, so we got a couple
what do
of
you got
games
here?
that we both picked, but maybe with some different results here. Except for the Denver Philly, I really like. I've always liked, as you know, I've been a Bo Nix guy, and the Derek, who didn't think he would be an NFL type quarterback, but they're really that's Sean Payton. He's a great coach. He knows what he's doing, and he knew Russell Wilson wasn't the answer, so he solved the problem and he went out and got Bo Nix, and he's performing very well. But yeah, I agree with you, Eli, that a lot of people call the Philadelphia Eagles team boring, but all they do is win. And I don't see them losing at home to Denver. So I'm going to take Philadelphia in this, even though I don't like to take Philadelphia, but they're still a solid team. And,
Absolutely.
they're the defending champs. And what can you do? So I have a
Okay.
second game is Tampa Bay, Seattle, but I'm going with your Seattle Seahawks this time. Even though I've started to become more and more of a Baker Mayfield fan, but I think Seattle, it's tough, right? It's what do they call it? The 12th man in
The
Seattle.
12th man,
I'm going to
the
take
loudest
Seattle
stadium.
to
Yep.
beat Tampa Bay. Yeah, so that's my second game and my third game. And again, and I know Andrew comes back with the cupcakes games, but as we saw on Thursday night, there really is no such thing as a cupcake game. So you had San Francisco completely decimated with injuries. The starting quarterback is out. Bosa is out for the season. And so everybody and DraftKings and all them changing the odds as this goes on. And San Francisco ends up beating a really tough Los Angeles Rams. There was some questionable calls maybe by Sean McVay, which could have changed the results of the game, but there's no such sure thing in the NFL. Detroit at Cincinnati, and I know Cincinnati is without Joe Burrow, but Jake Browning has proven to be a serviceable backup. Hasn't had a good run, thrown some interceptions,
Yep.
and Detroit is starting to find their success from
It's
last
rhythm.
season, and I see them going on the road and beating Cincinnati. Um, so I got Philadelphia, I got Detroit, and I got Seattle. So somebody's going to make some room. Either separation by Eli or some catching up by Jim. So I'm hoping it's
We'll
the
see what
latter.
happens. And Tom says, Eli just talked with Patrick, and he said you're going down in Jacksonville. All right. Well, may the best man win. Good luck to you, Jim. But one other note before we get off the NFL, Tyreek Hill. He is also out this week and going forward with a discolorated knee and ligaments in his knee. And when he left the field, Jim, he was the happiest person in the planet Earth. I had never seen somebody more happy to leave the field than Tyreek Hill. Did you not see that? You haven't seen the clip, but he was smiling. Even on the ambulance, he was smiling.
Yeah.
I think he just wanted to get out of Miami, maybe get out of the tour problems. It was just a weird sight to see in Miami.
I know. I look a little frozen on your side. Can you hear me, Eli?
Yeah, you're good.
You could hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
Oh, don't tell me we're having a technical issue again. That would be. Let me go back
I can
in.
hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I can hear you good.
You could. I can hear you. You're good. I
Okay.
can hear you good. Everybody hears you good.
All right, so it looks
So
like
let's go to college football now.
yeah, let's go to college football. And first and foremost, I had a great week last week, and there were some really tough games to pick.
At least you had good weeks somewhere.
But I picked Ohio State, I picked Oregon, I picked Alabama, and the upset special, of course, was Ole Miss beating LSU. So that was huge for me. Absolutely.
All
And we
right.
got a we it's not a
Well,
big week in college football this week, but there are a couple of interesting games. Um, so I don't know why I
yeah,
wasn't
there are.
here. Let's
We
see.
got a lot of games to talk about. Here are the top games that I picked out. I'm sure you probably have the same. We'll start off with the 12 o'clock window. Kentucky, Georgia on ABC, and Wisconsin, Michigan on Fox. I think those two are the best 12 o'clock games, as you will, to see to start off for sure. Well, Jim just left. He'll be right back. Well, I'll continue down the list with some of the best games to watch out for. We go to 3:30 on CBS. Penn State and UCLA is another game. Here's Jim. Let's bring him back here. Uh, Welcome back. So Penn State, UCLA is another game I was talking about. Texas, Florida on ESPN, and Vanderbilt, Alabama on ABC. Some of the better games to watch out for on the 3:30 window. And the only good game, in my opinion, for the nighttime 7:30 capper is Miami, Florida State. I think that's the best game to watch out for in the later window, as you will.
Okay. Let me see. I got a little video issue here, Eli. Can you hear me though, right?
Yeah, everything's good on the other screen. I see you're pretty good, and audio's good. Everything's good.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing me or you, but as long as we could hear, as long as we could hear. Yeah. So
We could hear and we could see you, and you're fine.
okay.
So
So
continue rolling.
let's go back. So I think really an awesome game, and Vanderbilt, Alabama, and I think that's where college game
Yeah,
day is this week.
game day is now. Yep.
So Vanderbilt's 5-0.
Not a fan of
Yeah,
it.
this is going to be an actually interesting game, but I think Alabama will kind of silence the Vanderbilt Commodores supporters, and they're going to win that game. I think they found their way after
I'll be. I'll be. Go ahead.
after they found their Alabama with that big win last week was put them back on the right track. And now we have also Miami, Florida State. And for, historically speaking, it was always one of the most anticipated games of the college football season. And, a lot of times the history was Florida State would miss the game winning field goal. But that's a great game. And I think Mississippi State, Texas A&M, another good game. I like Texas A&M to win this game. And Eli, there's an interesting game because everyone's been bashing Clemson week after week, and rightfully so. because they haven't been performing. But
Absolutely.
they're,
Yep.
they're playing Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels, which looks like it's just absolute chaos down there. So I look for Clemson to win this game big over Belichick.
All right. I just want to go back to that Vanderbilt game. I know I picked it was one of the games to watch out for this week. However, not a fan of it because I don't think Alabama is a team that it once was, and I don't think that's going to be as delivering to the matchup expectation as we hope. I think Vanderbilt might take care of business here
Wow,
in that game.
that's an upset special right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think with that, let's go to the WNBA.
Yes, and I'll turn that over to you.
All right. Well, before we get into the final stuff, there is some controversy going around. As in Lynx Nafisa Collar addressing a press conference this week, how the WNBA has the worst leadership, calling out Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for her comments. When asked by Nafisa to the commissioner how they plan to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who drive massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. The commissioner's response to the question was Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't be making anything. However, the commissioner last night says that she'll never made that mark and comment and vows to do better. It's a real complicated situation, that is for sure, and nonetheless, it is a complicated situation going on in the WNBA, especially with these comments. However, you got to take note. Viewership is up in the WNBA. There is some positive going around in the WNBA. And yes, leadership isn't the best. Officiating is some problems. But I think that if this comment is true, and if she did make that comment to commissioner, there is some talks that maybe she should be resigning right now. If this statement is true, even though she denies it right now. And if she did in fact say it, I think that the commissioner should be thinking about some decisions as the postseason comes around. So that is what happened with the bigger story in the WNBA. Some other notes from the WNBA: they just signed an 11-year deal to get 50 regular season games and select playoff games to USA Network. And we now turn to the NBA, the WNBA Finals. You have Phoenix Mercury and the Las Vegas Aces. Game 1 went down last night, and the Aces took care of business, 89-86 the final. Game 2 is tomorrow at 3 o'clock on ABC. Game 3 on Wednesday. This is an exciting series. It was a great game last night, and we got plenty more ahead in the WNBA Finals.
Well, I know you're all over that. I like I said, it's hard for me to get excited with all these other sports in full.
Well, that's like you and with golf. I can't get into golf just like you can't get into WNBA. That's just the bottom line.
Well, I'm gonna guess more of our audience is into golf than the WNBA, but you cover it very well.
We'll have to put out a poll and find out the answer, I guess. That's the thing we'll have to do next.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, let's go to some random points. And that's going to be sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
Okay. Go ahead.
Do you want me to start it off?
Yeah, go ahead, Eli. Start it off.
All right. We'll start with this. And by the way, I wanted to bring up first, we are in pink, as you know, on the graphics and everything for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October, it's our tradition. We always put pink for the graphics. So that is our little staple, as usual, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm in pink already. So we are there to start off Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We'll kick off this. Bad Bunny will be performing at this year's Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show. And I know there's a lot of controversy going around and stuff, but I think he'll be a great halftime show. A lot of people, a lot of fans like it. And if you understand the Spanish language, because most of his songs are in Spanish, I think it'll be a very enjoyable halftime for sure. So let's check out that at the Super Bowl. I know, Jim, you don't watch the halftime. We know.
I know, but I did actually get some comments from some people questioning that decision to have Bad Bunny, but you know what? He's as popular around the world as can be. So I think that's the thinking by the NFL. But
yes, and I could see why they're saying that. But you know what? He's popular. The fans, there's a lot of people that enjoy his music, and I think he's going to put up a very good halftime show. Even though I may not understand the music, I think it'll be a very good show to see. That's for sure. I think it's one of the better decisions that they could have made. They're rumoring Adele. I don't think people wanted Adele, unfortunately. But we go on with this. Duke basketball has agreed to a new 6-year deal with men's basketball coach John Shire, taking a deal through the 2030-31
Yep.
season. Seth Curry will be joining the Golden State Warriors in a new 1-year deal. He'll be wearing the jersey number 31 and joining his brother Stephen Curry. So that'll be exciting news. And there was actually a funny post on X Twitter that said, "Good luck to everybody this Christmas because they'll probably get the Curry jersey number 31 and not number 30 for Stephen Curry, the all-time great." So that'll be some fun to see Christmas shopping. Which jersey do you get? 31 to 30. So that'll be fun to
Okay.
see. We go now to the Warriors. Also signed Jonathan Kuminga to a 2-year, $48.5 million deal. And they also signed Al Hartford to a new deal with the Warriors. Luke Hughes officially signs with the Devils in a 7-year, $9 million deal to remain a New Jersey Devil. A new report came out listing the top 20 most watched programs or sporting events of 2025, not including a football game, not including college or the NFL. The top 3 are the Kentucky Derby, averaging 16 million views on NBC. At number 2 was March Madness Men's Championship, the Houston, Florida game with 18.1 million on CBS. And number 1, and this is actually a pretty big shock in my opinion, the 97th Academy Awards, aka the Oscars on ABC, 19.7 million viewers. So that were your top 3 most watched programs. A Everybody Loves Raymond special season will be airing in November on CBS for the 30th anniversary. So check out that in November. Everybody Loves Raymond.
Great show.
We also have one of the best, absolutely. Saturday Night Live is back tonight for season 51. And speaking of Bad Bunny, he is the host tonight with musical guest Doja Cat. So check that out tonight on NBC. And finally, I have to end off with this. Wheel of Fortune gives away $1 million this week. And is the 5th time, including the celebrity version, and the 4th time on the regular show. On top of that, this contestant won the most money in the show's history, taking home $1,035,155 cash and prizes with the answer pack of coyotes. So congratulations to her on winning the most money in the show's history.
Wow. Okay. I didn't get a lot of that
All right,
last
Jim, it's
one.
all
but
yours.
Anyway. You could hear me, Eli, right?
Yes, we could hear you, and everybody else could hear as well.
So you took the thunder from my Bad Bunny comment about the Super Bowl, and I do find it interesting because I don't know that he speaks English. So are we having subtitles on the Saturday Night Live tonight? Is that what's going to happen?
He speaks some English, so Saturday Night Live won't. For the Saturday Night Live, there'll be no effect. I think it'll be just a normal show, and he'll be fine. He's done Saturday Night hosting before. You can understand it pretty good. The Super Bowl, though, I don't know about that one. I don't know if there will be subtitles for the Super Bowl, but I know for the SNL tonight, we'll be okay.
All right, so I got some random points too, and this was interesting, and I know this is very close to the heart because one of our loyal listeners and my dear friend Kenny Backert, we joke about Paul Feinbaum over and over again, but he's considering a possible run for the Alabama for Senate from the state of Alabama. Now that sounds a little kind of crazy, but he's very articulate, very up to speed on things. I don't know if this was just something that was thrown out there or if it's actually true. He is 70 years old, as well. But that's I thought that was
whatever your heart desires, go for it.
Hey, that's right.
That's what I say.
And Eli, you just brought up that Luke Hughes got signed to a contract with the Devils, and this is going to turn the table in the NHL because Kaprizov from the Minnesota Wild just signed the richest contract in the history of the NHL, 8 years for $138 million. Quite honest, the best player in the NHL to command that kind of money, that was a head scratcher for me. Decent guy, decent player, scores 20 goals,
Yeah.
but what is this going to do to the Connor McDavid, who's going to be a free agent after this season? I mean, this is going to change the pay structure. The NHL is going to have to raise the um, salary cap and so forth, but this is a very interesting signing, and it's going to move the needle in the NHL because nobody's gotten that kind of a
Oh,
contract, and a
1,000%.
lot of people don't even know this guy. So I was a little caught off
I
guard
know.
by that.
I didn't know it. I agree. I didn't know his name fully until last night, so that was definitely a
Yeah,
shock
that
for sure.
was huge. Eli, there was an interesting, not interesting, kind of a tragic thing. One of the Florida State troopers at a Florida A&M game, the play came to the sideline and he got run over and he broke his leg, and he subsequently a few days later passed away from that broken leg injury. And that's a horrible turn of events at a football game. And our family
Wow.
goes out to him. It was just God, that very
Wow.
shocking. I mean, very, very shocking. And because you see that a lot, right? You see, especially in college, all the state troopers, you know, guarding like the head coaches after the game and so forth. But you rarely hear a story like that, and that was terrible, terrible.
Wow.
And one other thing, the Big Ten is now considering a $2 billion investment from a private equity firm, which is going to tip the scales again, right? By
Huh.
all this kind of money. And now, college football is going corporate. Um, I think they're going to plan on putting a lot of that money back into the Big Ten. But, there's 18 teams now in the Big Ten. And how is this going to be distributed? But look for this to be not the last time. The SEC will probably follow suit in an effort to gain money. And I guess it'll somehow affect the nil portal, which these guys are getting outrageous sums of money.
It always does.
Yeah, that was big. Especially from the Big Ten. I mean, crazy. Um, but Eli, I wanted to bring this up because high school football is in New Jersey is as good as it gets. And Don Bosco, I've
Absolutely.
talked about Bergen Catholic being the team to beat, and they have been. So that was the number one team getting beat by Don Bosco. And Joe Shane's son, general manager of the New York Giants, has come out of nowhere. He's now the starting quarterback for Don Bosco. And why I bring this up in particular is because Don Bosco is playing St. Joe's next weekend in Montvale, New Jersey. And St. Joe's had a great opportunity to go into that game with two undefeated teams, but they ended up losing on a 2-point conversion to St. Peter's Prep last week. But I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a
Ooh.
huge turnout. And that should be a great game. Looking
Ooh, that'll
forward
be
to that.
exciting. That'll be awesome to
Yeah,
watch.
it will be. And by the way, so not just high school football, but also my grandson is playing like right down the street, 5 minutes from my house, right after this show. So I'm looking forward to getting to see him play football.
All
And
right.
like I said, he plays baseball, he plays basketball, he plays football, and he's really starting to play outstanding football. So I'm excited to go see him play later on this morning.
All right. Well, that's
Yep.
exciting. Let's go now to the what's your recommendation and the photo segment. That is going to be sponsored by Vital Selections, our new segment now because we have like a new pick every week. So it's going to be called What's Your Recommendation and the photo
Yep.
segment, sponsored by Vital Selections.
And here's my recommendation, and this goes toward our younger audience because, as I brought up before, and I put pictures of it. This is the 70th anniversary of the Honeymooners. And the Honeymooners, I know you haven't
Ah,
watched it, but I still consider it one of the funniest shows ever created on television. And I was wondering why. I was seeing a lot of posts on Facebook about the Honeymooners this particular week, and people were posting clips. And now I realize because it was the 70th anniversary. So that's my recommendation. Turn off Seinfeld for a minute, watch a Honeymooners, and I think our audience would agree how funny that show is.
all right. Well, I'm gonna go with the food pick for this week because I was thought we were gonna continue with that topic. So I'm gonna go with Jersey Mike's. It's a sub
Mm.
above. It's a great. Can't go wrong with the Jersey Mike
Well,
sandwich.
you know what? I find the sandwiches aren't that big. They weigh the sandwiches, so you're
I
never gonna
know
get a
they
big
don't weigh this much,
sandwich for the money. It's not bad. I do like the bread on the sandwiches.
but the price, I get it. Yeah.
And I guess that's a reflection of fast food in general. If you go to Chick-fil-A, for God's sakes, you can't get
Yeah.
there without spending $20 for fast food, and it's gotten a little bit out of hand, I think. Right?
I that's why I don't. That, you know what? That's where you have to go to Wendy's. You get a $5 biggie bag.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Can't go wrong
that's
with
a
that.
great point because that's actually a fair, reasonable price.
That's one of the best deals around.
Yeah, fast food is
I mean, you get a cheeseburger, fries, and nuggets plus a drink. That's a $5 win
yeah,
for me.
no doubt. But you go to Jersey Mike's, you're spending $14 for a
14 bucks
yeah,
on a
and
sandwich. I
it's
know.
not a
Yeah.
big sandwich. But anyway,
No.
all right, Eli,
Well, let's go through some
we got
photos.
some photos we need to post, and I wanted to put this on because that's Juan Soto watching the playoffs. All $750 million from his private box. Oh, I thought that's funny. That's obviously an AI generated picture, but I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it.
Okay.
And there's my granddaughter and my grandson, just adorable. And like I said, I
Yeah.
just love putting these.
The ice cream
Yeah,
looks good.
yeah, the ice cream looks good. Yeah. And there's my grandson. Look at that swing. Classic swing. And he does. So he's playing football today and has a baseball game tomorrow. The kid just doesn't stop. It's awesome. It's awesome.
No, he don't.
And that's my granddaughter on at the school bus stop this year, waiting to get. I just had her birthday last week, and she's just absolutely adorable to me. She's my little angel.
Well, that is awesome. I got no pictures for me for this week, but I will be starting as a broadcast assistant for the WSU radio station this week. I have my first assistant job this week. It's part of the training program at the radio station, so I'll be starting that. And I'm also going to be part of. I should be part of the game this week for the men's
That's
soccer on
great.
Tuesday, part of the ESPN Plus broadcast. I don't know what my role will be yet, but I will be part of it on Tuesday as well.
Very good. All right, Eli, you got some notable
Yeah.
passings for us?
Yes, we do. I got two of them. I'll start off with this. Arthur Jones, a defensive lineman with the Ravens and Colts, has died at the age of 39. He was born in 1986 and did win a Super Bowl with the Ravens.
Yeah, and I did find out he's actually the brother of Chandler Jones, who played for the Cardinals for a while. Really was a really good defensive lineman too. But yeah, when we see a Super Bowl winner go at such a young age, it's certainly notable. And our thoughts to the Jones family. Yep.
And the last one I have is Jane Goodall, a primatologist. Has passed away at the age of 91, born in 1934.
And Eli, I actually did watch a kind of a special on her, and this goes way back to the 60s. She went to Tanzania and studied the chimpanzees, and we know they're as close to human behavior as we can. But she documented this thing. She dedicated her life. She was also a conservationist, and yeah, she was 91 years old. But boy, did she have a major, major impact on science and animal behavior. And she was a great person. 91. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other ones you
I
have?
do have one, and his name is Toderick Hunt, and he's 44. He was 44. He passed away, and he's
Okay.
notable because he was a New Jersey-based guy and covered a lot of sports. He's a Rutgers graduate, which would make our loyal listener Andrew very happy, and my um, our ties to that. But he was very prevalent in covering the recruiting processes for high school players and so forth, and won a sports award actually covering Rutgers football last year. And yeah, he was only 44 years old, but he certainly made a name for himself in New Jersey. And I know a lot of people don't and may
Absolutely.
not have heard of him, but when you cover guys, and he covers like feel good stories about guys that come from small high schools, gets recruited and goes to a college and on success. And like I said, he was an award winning um, journalist. And I just wanted to make sure we noted that because obviously New Jersey is close to our hearts.
Absolutely. Well, we had a great show, and we do have a program alert for next week. We'll be live at 9 o'clock next week, so we hope you tune in then. 9 o'clock to Sports with Mono and Mono, live right here, our new studio. Same channel, same, nothing really changed. We still have the best content in the world, and your best host, of course.
You
Uh,
bet.
with Jim and
Like I
I.
said, and also Eli, just another programming note, and I kind of wanted to bring this up, um, especially to our Oakland friends and so forth about my little brother. But I mentioned last week we're dedicating a bench at the Oakland Recreation Field, and that's going to be in 2 weeks. So it's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we're either going to do a Friday Night Light special, or we'll do an early show at 8 a.m. on the 18th, 17th or 18th.
And we'll confirm that all next
We
week, of
will.
course.
We will. But Eli, great show, and I don't wish you success on your picks this week. I'd like to pick up some ground.
Same here. I don't wish you success either, but I do wish myself success, though. Thank you very
Yep,
much, though.
just a friendly rivalry. And again, thanks.
Of course,
Yep,
absolutely.
but thanks to all of our loyal listeners. And again, you can always send comments like James Walsh did, this past week, pointing out the Cam Schlittler thing, and he couldn't agree more with our monologue last week about just the overbearing, media commercial things of this gambling. So
Absolutely.
Jim, I thank you very much, and all of our loyal listeners. But send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono.com, and I'm looking forward to getting on the show next week, as we'll have just as much to cover. And Eli, yep. So
Absolutely.
you have a great week, and good luck with your production
Enjoy.
stuff at Seton Hall, and we'll catch up next week.